What is going on, guys? Chris here from Signs of Life, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to talk about the 7 keys to ambient. You know, in my line of work, I get a lot of people asking me, what are the secrets to ambient music? You know, what are the keys? And of course, you know, we have the principles, right? Which is, you know, good solid sound design, composition, mixing, you know, all of those things really are important. However, I feel like there's 7 keys that you need to understand to get better and to become a better ambient musician. So in today's video, I'm gonna tell you guys what those 7 keys are. And while we do that, I'm gonna create a track from scratch so you guys can start to embody these principles and apply them to your own productions. Anyway, that's the game plan. Thanks for being here, and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so first things first, I've got a little something brewing in the background here, as you can hear. This is a preset from Ancient Technology 4 called Satellite Barrier. It's got some really nice movement here, got some granular action with this cracks and rustle sample. Of course, the keys and ball sample, right? But it's providing that sense of space. And I'm not doing much to the sound, so we're gonna come back to this in just a second, but I just wanna kind of set the table with that. So let's talk about the 7 keys to ambient, all right? So the 7 keys to ambient. Ambient music is not just slow music. It is the art of creating an environment with sound. These 7 keys will help you make tracks that feel alive, spacious, and emotionally real. You know, this is very important, right? Because a lot of people have misconceptions about what ambient is. And I feel like if you understand the principles of this genre, you can better start to apply them to your own work, all right? So let's go back to the beginning here, okay? Before we kind of get off and running. And like I said, you know, the modulation is key here, right? So there's a lot of things that are being modulated here that really play into it. You head over to the mod matrix, you can see multiple LFOs here are working, doing their thing, right? I've got LFOs on the wavetable position, the pitch of the noise oscillator, the density here of the granular sample, that's very important. So like, there's all kinds of different things that are happening here. You can see, you know, it's scanning, the density of the grains is being modulated with this crazy LFO over here, right? Like, there's so much that's happening. And I think that's one of the things that makes this sound feel alive. And I'm not really playing many notes. That's the other thing. So you can see here, I've just created a simple MIDI clip. And this MIDI clip, I'll get out of the way. So you can see, like, it's just a low F note. We're gonna be playing an F sharp minor, by the way, today. 74 beats per minute. And these notes are actually quite spaced out. Like, they're not really crowded at all. I'm not playing like full chords or anything like that. But sometimes to create that environment, you need that sense of space. So let's go back to the keys. All right, first key, space. Space is the first instrument in ambient music. Silence, decay, and distance are just as important as the notes themselves. Let me repeat that again. Silence, decay, and distance are just as important as the notes themselves. You know, in the album Codes of the Biosphere from Hinterland, it won Ambient Album of the Year in 2021. You can feel the space in between the notes. And you can feel that distance that they're creating. Not through, you know, using big reverbs or like overcrowding the space. It's simply because they're allowing the sounds themselves to speak volumes about what they're trying to say. It's a fantastic album, highly recommended. I'll leave the link down below in the description. Anyway, the goal is to create a place the listener can step into, all right? And like I said, I just, you know, whipped this up right before we started here to kind of show you, like, space is not just created with, you know, these sounds, it's created with how you place the sounds on the timeline, how you're utilizing these presets or creating these presets from scratch, right? So this is a fantastic way to start. So let's go ahead and add on to this. I'll call this satellite barrier. Okay. Like I said, we're playing in 74 beats per minute. F sharp minor here today. So let's also use another synth here. We'll grab pigments. Okay. And we're not going to do much, okay, to this space that we've already created because I feel like it's already quite thick already. Let's reach for chromatic 5. How about open the gates? That's a good starting preset, yeah? Open the gates. All right, let's go ahead and increase the reverb here. And I'm just gonna start minimally trying to lay over some notes over the top of this. So let's go ahead and see what we, oh, I love that. Let's see what we got here. Yes. Very nice. So as you can see, this is a very simple preset as well. Some slow modulation on the fold amount. A combinate on the frequency FM mod over here. The modal engine as a pad in string mode here with an LFO on the rate of the granular happening over here. Okay, this is classic chromatic stuff here. But I'm just holding down 2 notes, an F sharp and an A, and allowing those notes to kind of play into what's happening over here with satellite barrier. So let's go ahead and lay down another, I'll just say 8 bars. Okay, they don't have to be even, right? So let's turn off the fixed grid here. We'll start with 1 bar, and as you can see, I'm in scale mode here. Again, you can follow along in any other DAW, it doesn't have to be Ableton. And we'll go ahead and extend these notes out, and they're just gonna kind of lay in. Let's find another pair here. Oh yeah. Maybe that original root note here. Turn off the grid. And a D note would be kind of cool over here. I really like that F and that A. Oh yeah. It sounds so nice with that high B. My goodness. Yeah. So let's go ahead and restart here. Oh yeah. Notice I'm kind of pulling the volume down of that second pad. But because the notes are stopping and starting again, that really is creating that sense of space. Going back to the key, right? So space. Silence, decay, and distance are just as important as the notes themselves. It's crucial for you guys to understand. Because I can only give you the framework. I can only let you guys know, here's one of the keys to ambient. But then how are you going to apply it? You know? How are you going to lay out your compositions? So the listener, you're inviting them in. You're inviting the listener into your world. To be enveloped by the space you're creating. Not to just leave nothing so they have nothing to listen to, but to give them a place to sit inside of it. That's what space is all about. Hope that makes sense. All right, so that's the first key. Of course, I'm using reverbs here, big reverb, you know, nice instance of the Pro R2, of course. You know, I show this on nearly every video. You need your space creators, okay? If you're using Supermassive, crank up the decay, crank up the warp, but just, of course, lower down your width here. You know, for example, if you're using this, just lower down the width a little bit, you know? Take it down to like, I don't know, 80%. So you don't introduce phasing artifacts. But anyway, we digress. Okay, let's go back to the keys here. Key number 2, texture. Ah, that first preset was full of texture. Texture gives ambient music its physical quality. Noise, grain, modulation, field recordings, and imperfections make the sound feel alive. A beautiful texture can carry an entire track. So not only do we need space, but we also need something to latch onto, right? With our mental capacity. I often relate the, frequency spectrum to the chakra system. So like the base root node is at your lower primal, survival chakra where our basic needs are. And then as you go higher, the frequencies get higher. By the time you reach texture, you're way up here into the mental realm, right? So you're playing with upper atmosphere, higher details. But you notice, that's why that, serum sample sounds so good, is because there's that, that stuff, right? The keys and ball sample, this is stock. I love this one, but I'm modulating the pitch, which is creating those micro pitch movements. Totally cool, love it. So doing some textural work might not be a bad idea, right? Let's rename this Open the Gates. Open the gates. Okay. So what's a good synth for texture? Well, we've got a lot of options here. Let's use current. Let's use current. Let's go find something in the stream here. Let's go to particle pads or botanic pads. Ooh, yeah. Translucent fragment. Ooh, that one looks good. Spectral branches. I'm down. Spectral branches. Let's see what this has got. All right, we're gonna lower it down. I'm just looking for something that's gonna kind of. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What do we got on the granular side? Oh yes. Antique metal over here in the granular. Oh yeah. I love it. They've been running all kinds of like deals on current. Like it's just such a fantastic tool for ambient music. I'll leave the link down below. It's like, I think one of the best synths out there. Slept on, underrated. But you can hear that antique metal sample is just kind of moving through it, right? I'm holding down one note, literally one note. Let's do this. The amp envelope is kind of crazy over here. Let's increase the release here. All right, let's back up. So when I let go, it's gonna gently fall away. Oh, I love that. Oh yeah. Oh yes. Oh yes. All right, let's just do octaves here. Let's just do octaves. So we're gonna do octaves over a long period of time. Again, ambient doesn't have to be too rigid as far as your timing goes. Like don't worry about it. You're trying to invite the listener in. It doesn't have to be like, super crazy. Let's turn off the fixed grid. All right. Draw another one. There you go. Cool. Just something like that. Oh yeah. Hear that texture? Now I could, for example, play with the filtering here if I wanted to, but I think this motion has got plenty enough for me already. I like it. I like it. Wow, right off the rip. Very nice, very nice. All right, so anyway, as you can see, let's go ahead and put a span on our main fader. Yep. So like I said, higher chakra stuff, higher frequency stuff. Okay? This track is chock full of it. We still have a lot more room to go because there's a huge gap here in the bass. The track needs structure, but that's key number 2, texture. All right, number 3, movement. Ambient music needs movement, but not always obvious movement. Slow modulation, evolving filters, shifting delay trails, and subtle automation keep the listener engaged. The track should feel like it's breathing. Ah, yes. But doesn't this track already? Doesn't it feel like it's breathing already? I think so. You saw those evolving filters in current, shifting delay trails, subtle automation to keep the listener engaged. Don't forget about this stuff. Screenshot it if you need to. Come back to this video. These are fundamental foundations. What we're working on here. All right, so let's work on some movement, all right? I think what I'm gonna do is put in a bass right now, okay? Let's reach for this one. Let's reach for Hive. Again, you could use Pigments, you could use Vital, whatever you got. Doesn't matter, okay? Let's make it a little bigger so you guys can see it. There we go, very nice. And we'll go to my preset collection, Colony, from Signs of Life. I love this. It's 180 presets that I did for Hive. It's the only Hive bank I've ever done on a commercial, level. I absolutely love it. It's just got some really, really good sounds in here. So let's go for, oh yeah. Let's see what this has got. I'm just taking a stab at it here. Oh yeah. Do you hear how that bass swelled in? It's got a longer attack than usual. Interesting. This is a rarity for me. Usually my basses just start bang on, but this one has a nice swelling attack. I like that. That kind of fits what we're doing here, huh? Let's go ahead and lay this out. I like it. And again, I'm just playing a simple F sharp number 1. Okay. And we'll lay in this bass note here and here. There we go. Creating a couple gaps in the whole thing. Let's restart it. Oh yeah. Nice. Just a subtle reverb for, yeah. I love it. Let's lower down the cutoff a little bit. So the 2 keys to this are, number 1, it's a bass with attack, if that makes sense, okay? I've lowered the cutoff, and I haven't kept the notes very, it's not a rigid bass line. It's just swelling in, just to kind of hold down that foundation. See how much more robust we are in the lower end? But again, that provides that sense of movement here, okay? Going back to the key. Slow modulation, evolving filters, subtle automation. We're not at that stage yet, but you guys get the idea. That's key number 3, movement. All right, moving on. Key number 4, restraint. Ah, yes, the hardest one. The strongest ambient tracks often come from removing instead of adding. Every layer needs a reason to exist. I love that language. Restraint creates focus, mystery, and emotional weight. So, we're building all these tracks up. We're building this stuff up. What about taking some stuff out now? Maybe sometimes you need to remove things instead of adding them back, right? This can be done through volume automation. I love to do it through LFOs, low frequency oscillators, to, move the oscillators up and down. Every layer needs a reason to exist. It's powerful stuff. So let's see what we can do here. We've got our satellite barrier. Okay, let's solo this track again. But maybe instead of having this be all textural all the time, What if we created, you know, an LFO here? Let's make a free running sample and hold. Okay, we'll put it in mono mode and we'll tie it to the level of this key sample and we'll smooth it all the way out. And we'll slow it down to the 100th place. So now we have a smooth, free running, monophonic sample and hold that's tied itself to the keys ball sample here. So we don't have it all the time. You see now it's spiking, it's coming up. We're coming back up to that level. There it is. Okay. But eventually it'll fall down again. We can do the same thing with another one. Let's use a Chaos Lorenz here in monophonic. Slow it down pretty far. And we'll tie that on the x-axis to the level here of this oscillator as well. Hear how we're revealing details by taking stuff away? So it's like you don't have to have everything there at once. I don't think I can make that any more clear and literal than to start removing elements and only bringing certain stuff back at certain times so the whole thing feels like it is this living, organic entity that you've built. You combine that with the reverb and the effects and all the things that we've done so far, the listener gets to focus in on the smallest of details. And that's what creates movement. Going back to the key before it, by practicing restraint. Super, super important. But you can hear the result now. Like, this is so much better. I love it. We could probably do the same inside of current as well. Yeah? Oh yeah. Let's use this curve right here. Let's make it an LFO. Okay. Change that. Oh yeah, making it LFO. And let's make it a sine. We'll randomize it. And we'll change the rate off of sync to hertz. Slow it down super far. And we'll modulate the level here. There we go. Of this antique metal sound. Perfect. So now we have this random LFO here that's tied to the level of this antique metal sound. And that's giving us more space to work with. Okay. Fantastic. I'll rename this the Swallow. Okay. So there you go. Restraint. Okay. The strongest ambient tracks often come from removing instead of adding. That's key number 4. Moving on to key number 5, harmony. Haha, yes. Harmony in ambient music is more about color than resolution. Chords can hang in the air, blur, and transform over time. You're not always telling a story with changes. Sometimes you're holding a feeling. So good. So the harmony here doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, like some big chord progression thing like from Spacewalk or something. Like, it can be very subtle, very understated. It can come from notes that are trailing in the distance. It can come from sine waves that are just pinging, you know, boom, 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 very slowly, you know? I love it. Let's do that here. Let's go ahead and add a new track. I'm gonna do the sine wave example first, okay? Just to show you that it's possible, okay? So with a sine wave, what you can do is take the sustain out and increase the decay to around, I don't know, 3 seconds or something like that, okay? So we just have a sine wave. It's just basically a sine wave. There's nothing else to this patch whatsoever, okay? If you want to be a completionist, you can even turn off the filter, okay? Let's take the synth bus here and increase that. And so what we're gonna do is just randomize the pitch and the space that we're making here, okay? And to do that, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna grab my own sequencer here. The orbital sequencer, okay? This is now available in Max for Live and VST AU format. Very proud of this one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it in rhythm mode and change it to 8 bars. And that means that no matter what I do with the duration here, the whole thing is gonna shift. Let's go to 4 bars actually. The whole thing is gonna shift by duration to make sure that we're only using 4 bars here. I'm also gonna randomize the pitch by coming over to the pitch and randomizing it. I'm sure you guys are aware that I'm doing this now. I'm making plugins. And this was one that I've always had in my head, like, you know, something like Stepic, but you know, you can do cool stuff like this. That's where we're at now. Okay, let's go ahead and lower down the amount here. Let's hear how this sounds. I think it's gonna sound pretty good because it's kind of minimal because the notes themselves, they're going in a 4-bar loop. Okay, let's restart the whole thing and let's hear what this sounds like. Yeah, let's put it in scale mode. Oh yeah. Oh yes. So every time it goes through, it's randomizing the pitch. We could also do the same with the octave. Let's put it on -1 and +1, randomize it. So now we're gonna give you a wider array of that. Oh yeah. The orbital sequencer. Again, available in VST, Max for Live. They all come in the same package, so check it out. Link down below. Anyway, fantastic. Going back to the 7 keys, harmony. Chords that can hang in the air, blur, and transform over time. You're not always telling a story with changes, sometimes you're holding a feeling. Oh, I love that. Yes, very nice. Let's change the octave to 0. There we go. So you can randomize the duration, the pitch, the velocity here, all separately. You can adjust each one individually. It's a great sequencer. I'm super happy it exists. All right, let's move on to the next key now. Key number 6, depth. Ah, yes, the all-important depth. Depth makes a track feel 3-dimensional. Some sounds should feel close, others should feel far away. Reverb, EQ, volume, and stereo placement create that sense of distance. So what does it mean to feel 3-dimensional? Ask yourself that. I mean, this sounds 3-dimensional to me. But a lot of people ask me, oh, Signs, how do I get more width in my tracks? How do I get more, breadth? Should I use mid-side? Should I use, stereo wideners? Should I use this? Should I use that? Should I use panning? I'm like, no. Just keep your sounds in the middle and let the stereo effects do the rest of the work. Have we panned a single sound here? No. Does it sound super wide and super deep? Yes. So think about that in your own work. How can you use just what you've already got to not disturb the stereo field, but enhance it with the sounds that you're creating? That's what it's really all about. So let's go back to the track. We've got this beautiful sequence here. Oh, absolutely gorgeous. That It's a sine, dude. It's a sine. I love it. Fantastic. All right. That's just kind of going to marinate in the background. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. All right. Vital. I'm using every synth in my library today. Okay. We're going to go to Factory. Basic Shapes. All right. Pull up a sawtooth. Again. Factory. Basic Shapes. Pull up a triangle. Okay. Put it through a filter. Analog is usually good. I like it better than the digital one, but it's just me. Okay. Lower down the sustain. Hold your decay around 1 second. Lower down the sustain on envelope 2. Make it about half as much. Tie it to the filter. Add some velocity here. There we go. And let's go ahead and put it in sync mode. Tie it to here. Okay. So we've basically made a basic pluck. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'll tie velocity here as well. I think we got that. We're good. Yeah. All right. So let's do this. What we're going to do is we're just going to punch in a basic sequence. Nothing crazy. Okay? Let's just even listen to it while we do it. Okay? And maybe we have we overcooked the filter just a little bit. Okay? There we go. Let's go back to our sequence here. There we go, just like that. Nice. Now, to get really experimental with it, what if we used like some sort of spatial sampler here? Let's go into the Signs of Life folder and pull out the parallax well. What is this? Again, I made it. I made it for you guys. Okay, you hear that? Solo this. So what this is, it's a recorder. And it has a 5-second buffer on it. And you can capture anything. Anything at all. And so it's constantly capturing these sounds, and it's got a big, beautiful reverb on the end here. But not only that, you can shift it by octave. You can shift it by fifths, semitones. And then the kicker is, if you get something you like, you can freeze it. And listen to this. Now it's frozen. Isn't that beautiful? Fantastic. So again, going back to the key. Do we have depth here now? I think so. I think so. There's the depth control right here. I love this thing. So again, length controls the length of the reverb here. Yeah, output controls. Post color and pre-color are pretty obvious. Those happen before and after the reverb stage. Right? Diffusion kind of smears it all out. These are tools that I've always wanted in my arsenal. So I decided to build them. Gorgeous. Fantastic. Let's even make this more obvious here. So we're going to increase the LFO amount and then Make it dive all the way down here. Yeah. There we go. Oh, God. We are really getting deep here on Signs of Life today. Oh, my goodness. Wow. That's key number 6. Depth. Of course. Of course. So we added some of that reverb on there. I mean, EQ-wise, we don't need to do too much. Not at this stage. But you guys get the idea. Oh, it's gorgeous. Wow. All right. Key number 7. Intention. A track needs to have an emotional center. Even abstract music should have a reason for existing. Before adding more sound, ask what the piece is trying to transmit. It's a very important point. What are you trying to say with the tracks you're creating? Does it have an emotional center? I did a whole masterclass on this in April called Return to Source. Before adding more sound, ask what the piece is trying to transmit. So ask yourself that as you're creating, even if you get to this point and you're like, well, what is it I'm trying to say here? Where is this going? How can I move these spaces in and out to bring more of my intentionality to the surface? Because I feel like in ambient, there's nothing more important than being able to translate how you feel on the inside to what comes out inside of your DAW. And I don't care if you're using hardware, software, modular, whatever. It doesn't matter. The expression that you have inside, that's what needs to translate to the listener as they listen. So we do this with the keys. Space, restraint, movement, depth. All of these play in to how you translate. Think of them as the vehicles in which you get to the end result. So if you focus on those fundamentals and focus less on, oh, this, I need to do this thing and this thing, and science told me I gotta make it like this and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. If you have the right intentions on the inside, you'll start to get the right intuition up here, which will translate into better music inside of the DAW. Because you'll be like, I should do this. I should add this sound here. I should pull this fader down. I should add this LFO like I showed you to kind of move these sounds in and out to create more space for the listener to step into. And I hope that just by watching me and just by listening to the sound of my voice, you guys are starting to understand that this is possible. Not only on a, physical level here, but like internally, inside of you. Because there's really nothing that separates what you're doing, between the goal that you have and going back to the key. How much distance is there? So all you're trying to do is collapse that distance between where you are now and where you want to be. And I'm here to help you with that. Let's make one more track. One more. This is such a crazy track. I love it. It's wild, man. Parallax is wild. It sounds really good on field recordings too. Oh my God. Crazy. Fantastic. All right. Oh, so good. All right, final track. Let's go ahead and add one more track here. Let's let's reach for Omnisphere 3. Like I said, we're using them all. We're getting every single synth in the arsenal today. Hopefully we won't blow up our CPU. We're running pretty hot. Okay. Let's open up the old archive here. And we'll turn off the filter, increase our attack here. Decay, release. Okay, notice I'm in shared. Let's move to independent. And we'll find some sounds. Let's go find a sound. This is the fun of Omnisphere. Let's use textures playable. Okay. Apparitions in the piano is always good. This is an old classic. Stand by. Let's hear what this sounds like. Oh yeah. Very nice. We'll start with that. We'll go to another sample oscillator. Let's go to all Spectrasonics. Let's sort by ratings here. Aluminum diapasons. Wow. Let's go ahead and pitch that down. Put a filter on it. An easy way to modulate an Omnisphere is to right click and say modulate with LFO. And we'll make it unipolar, lower down the depth here, lower down the rate pretty significantly. Let's do another oscillator here. We'll make sure this is at 0. Switch it to sample. Sort by ratings. Mode vibes, that's always a good one. Oh yeah. You hear that? That's so good. Let's crank up the reverb here. Oh yes. Ah yes. The beauty of Omnisphere 3. My goodness. I mean, how can one person have so much fun making ambient music? I don't know. That's what I was born to do. Oh my gosh. All right, we're gonna add one more sample to this. Let me just light this up. 1 bar. Okay. I'm just freestyling these notes in here. Yep. B. Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. Right there. Excellent. All right, boom. Now let's take that same instance of Parallax Well, copy it over, paste it. So now we got the well on there. Again, wet controls the overall effect. Length is the reverb. Yes. Oh, that's gorgeous. That's so good. Oh my goodness gracious. I told you. I told you. Oh, so good. So good. Anyway, I'll leave the link to this one down below in the description again. That came out yesterday. But this was one of my first Max for Live experiments. I was like, how can I create like a capture thing that does this thing, and you can freeze it, and finally, man, crack the code. Anyway, back to the tutorial. Like I said, intention is everything here. Even abstract music should have a reason for existing. Before adding more sound, ask what the piece is trying to transmit. I think we accomplished that here today. I'm pretty confident in that because what I'm listening to now is freaking gorgeous. It moves, it breathes, it has intentionality. I feel like it's someplace that I want to be. So I invite you guys to continue going after this in your own work. And whether you're just starting out at the beginning, you're somewhere along the way, or you're working towards becoming a professional in the field, I can help you. So feel free to reach out. My website is down below. I offer ambient coaching there. I've got tons of stuff going on, like, you know, we got our Patreon, which is a wonderful community of producers. There's tons of extra content over there. I've got my mentorship program. I teach people one-on-one, so sign up. Become part of the Signs of Life tribe. We're doing big things, but hopefully this was helpful for you guys. I really just want to get across that, you know, building a good solid foundation in ambient music can be extremely helpful, especially when you just have, you know, humble goals. I just want to release my first album. I just want to make an EP. I just want to finish a track, right? And again, this is what separates those who are just starting out from those who are much more experienced onto the professional level. Anyway, I'll be back again soon with more videos like this one. Thank you guys for your time, energy, and presence. And yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'll see you guys down there. And in the meantime, take good care. And as always, keep your heads in the clouds and your feet planted firmly on the ground. I am Chris from Signs of Life. And I'll see you guys in the next video.